What's up YouTube, I'm Mike, and today I'm back with another cycle update video. Somebody said in the comments on one of my previous videos, this changes compounds more than he changes his underwear, I think, or changes his cycle every time he changes his underwear. Well, I changed my underwear this morning, and I changed my cycle. So I'm going to give you a quick rundown of what we are now working with. I woke up this morning and decided that today was test day. So that's really the major contributing factor. Today was the day that was one of the 2 days out of the week that I typically inject my testosterone. As you know, I have been experimenting with MENT, and I have been loving the effects of the MENT, and I have been wanting to increase the MENT. But at advice from Kowalser, who is the guy who initially convinced me to try this compound to begin with. He said, hey man, you can do whatever the fuck you want to do, obviously, but if you're going to keep increasing your MENT dose, you probably need to bring the testosterone dose down, because ultimately you get into a hell of a lot of aromatization. So according to him, the 7-alpha methyl estradiol that the MENT converts to is about 40% more potent than the standard estradiol that we get from testosterone. So what I decided to do was to drop my T dose today so that I could make room for more MENT, because I think that it is in fact the more potent of the compounds. So today I woke up and I pinned 10 milligrams of MENT. I have been using 7 milligrams for the past, I don't know how long I made it, 4 days, 5 days, I don't know. I didn't make it as long as I was going to try to make it for a week, but the thing is that I'm already having enough estrogen problems. I'm already dosing a lot of Arimidex. And so, like, the objective is to try to get my ancillaries down. If the MENT really is as potent as it seems to be with all of the other drugs that I'm running, the testosterone doesn't make good sense. It's just making a shit ton of estrogen and DHT conversion. And so I decided to go ahead and make some changes. So today, usually I pin 250 milligrams of Test-C twice a week for a total of 500 milligrams. Today I dropped my dose to 150 milligrams of Test-C. So I'm going to pin 150 milligrams of Test-C twice per week. That's a total of 300 milligrams of Test-C per week. And I'm going to see if 10 milligrams of MENT will offset the difference in estrogen conversion. So obviously I'm going to be getting less estrogen from the reduced amount of Test-C, more estrogen from the increased amount of MENT, and then we'll kind of see where we land. I've really grown to be excited about this compound. The major reason being is that the MENT is so rapidly active in my system that I'm not nearly as concerned about crashing my estrogen. Or having the estrogen go either way. So if I pulled out more testosterone than was necessary for my given Arimidex dose, then I have the choice of either dropping the Arimidex or raising the MENT to get back into the sweet spot. I think I'm going to lean toward lowering the Arimidex. So I took half of a milligram of Arimidex today, and I took less testosterone. So the current cycle looks like this. I'm going to be running 300 milligrams of Test-C per week, 200 milligrams of nandrolone decanoate per week, 80 milligrams of trenbolone enanthate per week, 400 milligrams of masteron per week, 10 milligrams of MENT per day. I went on the Proviron, off the Proviron, I'm back on the Proviron. I'm pretty sure I'm going to keep the Proviron. I think it's going to be even more important that I keep the Proviron, given the fact that I am also lowering my testosterone level dose, which means I'm going to get less 5-alpha reduction into DHT. And I think, anecdotally, based on feel, I think that I like a good amount of DHT floating around in my bloodstream. Now, you would think that I would have, I've got DHT compounds all over the place. I don't know. I just like the feel that Proviron produces, and since I don't think it has really any negative effects, I'm just gonna fucking roll with it. Again, I may ride it up and down in 4-week cycles, but for now, the Proviron is gonna be back in the mix at a minimum of 25 milligrams a day, almost certainly 50 milligrams a day. So I'm probably gonna be doing the Proviron twice a day at 25 milligrams. And then I have MK677 that I have now increased to 25 milligrams per day. I would like to report that I'm rather disappointed recently with my appetite. My weight has stagnated at 210 pounds. My appetite is not increasing with the increase of MK677. I don't know if I've tapped, I don't know why that is. I had hoped that I would just get ever increasingly more ability to eat. I've had some things going on. Obviously, my wife and I were fighting, and then we had an anniversary yesterday, and my schedule's been a little out of kilter, so I'm not just sitting around the house constantly putting food in my face. But sorry, I lost my train of thought. I'm a little concerned about my appetite. Yesterday, when we went to dinner at Fogo, I pinned GHRP6 on top of the MK677. I don't know if that's a bad idea. I'm starting to feel like it doesn't matter how much, that there's a limit to how much you can stimulate your appetite. It seems that I've hit that limit, which is really unfortunate, because if that's the case, then I suspect that my gains are going to plateau again. I don't know how. I have to find a way to get more calories in. And I know this is just like foreign language to a lot of you. I'm taking all of these appetite stimulants, and I'm still getting away with just not eating enough fucking calories because I'm not gaining. It's possible that the MENT, I don't think it's an appetite suppressant. I don't know. It certainly didn't seem to be in the beginning. Maybe I got into a high enough dose that it is suppressing my appetite some. My midsection definitely is noticeably leaner at 210 than it was the previous time. So I don't know if there's a recomping effect going on. I really don't know what's going on. What I do know is that my strength is up in the gym. My muscles are big and full and round. My pecs are as good looking as they've ever been in my life. I'm feeling very, very full, very vascular. I am absolutely loving my aesthetic. I could not be fucking happier with my aesthetic. One thing I will mention about my aesthetic, however, I don't know if it's the mirrors in the new gym. I don't know if it's the lighting. I don't know if it's the fact that my upper body has just finally gotten to a point where I can no longer ignore the legs, but I am now in a state of embarrassment about my legs. I was happy with where my legs were relative to my upper body when I was sitting around the 200 mark, and since I've gotten up to 210, and I think my upper body is disproportionately larger at 210 than it was at 200. When I'm looking in the mirror at the gym, I look top heavy. I don't have the X shape somebody was talking about in a YouTube video last night. It's definitely time to grow my legs again. So I'm going to go back to putting weight on my legs with intent. I'm expecting this to be a pleasant experience because, you know, a lot of times I skip leg day because it's not even something I measure. I don't care. Like I said, I was feeling comfortable with where they were at. Once I get to a state where I'm not comfortable with something, then it becomes a very serious goal to improve it. So I will start measuring my quads every day. I'll start constantly looking for growth, and that will drive me in the gym. Where before, when I just didn't care, it wasn't something I was tracking, it wasn't something I was even looking at, I couldn't get motivated to do it. And I woke up today, actually I was thinking about the last time I was in the mirror, it is definitely time to make a concerted effort at growing legs. This unfortunately is going to cause me to have to buy clothes because if I put a half inch, even a half inch, certainly an inch on my quads, and I'm not going to be able to wear any of the pants that I have. I might have one pair of blue jeans that I just bought that I could get away with a little growth and still be able to wear. So hopefully my legs will respond rapidly to the fact that they haven't been trained in so long, that I have a substantial amount of androgens on board, that I'm eating in a surplus. Hopefully all of these factors will gather together, and my legs will respond rapidly so that I can hurry up and get them back to where I feel like my body is proportionate, so that I can buy clothes and be done with it. Because I certainly don't want to go through, like the last time I had to have one pair of jeans, when I went from 30 to 32, I used to wear 30-inch waist. And when I had to go up to 32s, it happens too fast, and there's always like back and forth. I'll bulk and cut, and I'm in between sizes, and so I'm clearly going to have to. And I want to try to do it without affecting my waist. But every time I hit my legs, my ass just grows. It seems twice as much as my legs do. So I've got a bubble butt. What can I say? It just doesn't fit good in tight pants. So legs are going back into the routine. I gave you my updated doses. I increased my MK because my insulin sensitivity is back and I started having sugar crashes again. I will almost certainly in the course of the next 2 weeks be increasing the trend back to 100. That's where it's going to stay. 80 was never the goal. I'm already in the state where I'm having to take multiple sleeping pills to sleep at night. And that's the biggest reason that I don't like the trend being any higher. I always try to keep the trend at a dose where I don't have to use multiple sleeping pills. But the MENT is sufficiently stimulating me that I can't sleep at night on just one Zopiclone or one Ambien alone. So once I go to multiple sleeping pills, there's no reason not to jack the androgens up even higher. My blood pressure is staying lower than usual. I'm only using 90 milligrams of telmisartan. I had another low reading on my blood pressure the other day. I say low, it was like 108 over 66, which is very atypical for me. Like I don't know what's going on with my diastolic pressure. Cavalser, if you're watching this, what would suddenly cause my diastolic pressure to be low? It's usually always in the 70s and 80s, and I'm starting to get more 60s. I don't know if that's a good thing or bad thing, but that's what's going on. Psychologically, I feel really good. Sexually, I have all of the performance that I would want. Although, admittedly, my desire has been kind of low lately, and I can't figure that out either. I don't know if that's stemming from the fight that my wife and I had. I don't know if it's my worldview. I don't know if it's prolactin. But I do not have raging libido on MENT, which was one of its big selling points. I think, if anything, the MENT has had a decidedly negative effect on my libido. My functionality is great. I just don't really care whether I get it. And that is extremely atypical for me. So I don't know if I've knocked my estrogen a little low. There, again, when you play with compounds like this and you move things around and life happens, there's so many variables that could be at play, so many potential causal factors, you just can't know. But rest assured, because I'm a tinkerer and I'm neurotic as hell, I am going to get it figured out. But as it pertains to my physique, the way I look in my upper body and the way I perform in the gym, I couldn't possibly be happier. I'm in a different mental place, I will admit. The honeymoon, really upbeat, happy, peppy state that I was in when I first started the MENT is being replaced by more of the typical 19 nor Trenbolone type of brooding, more harsh outlook on the world, very critical, very it's decidedly darker. I have a decidedly darker attitude toward the world in general. Not depression, definitely not depression. I'm still very highly motivated, and I would certainly not call myself depressed. It's kind of a cold calculation, really. And again, this could be estrogen. I'm definitely going to admit I'm starting to have some signs of maybe low estrogen because I'm not feeling terribly emotional. I'm feeling very cold and disconnected from society, from life, from a lot of things. And the more I sit here and listen to myself talk, the more I start to go, it sounds like it might be a little bit of low E2. So I think I'm going to leave my E2 dose where it's at and see, my nipples look perfect. which is another sign that E2 could be on the low side, because when my E2 goes low, my nipples will look perfect 24 hours a day. But I'll start to have psychological problems. I'll start to lose interest in sex, which I voluntarily took a pass on last night, and I will decidedly become more disconnected from the world emotionally. And so right now we've got 2 of about 4 symptoms of possibly low estrogen. The next thing that would happen is that I would start losing interest in my wife's conversation, like I wouldn't want to talk to her. And I guess if I'm being totally honest, there has been more than one occasion in the last 24 hours where she was telling me some story about something and I could feel myself struggling to pay attention. So, see, this is why I make these YouTube videos. Like I keep saying, this is a form of therapy for me. So while I'm sitting in front of this camera reporting to you guys what's going on with my body, I just uncovered 3 telltale signs that my estrogen may be on the fucking low side, which means it probably fucking is. So I'm definitely going to address that. More MENT, baby! No, I already took more MENT today, so I'm going to give it some time to run its course and see if over the course of the day, I think I'm gonna knock back on the 8X and see what starts to happen. If I start to feel my emotionality come back, start to get a little teary-eyed at certain reels, my libido comes back, then I'll know for sure that I went a little low on my estrogen. This is the kind of awareness that I'm always talking about. I think this is why a lot of you guys say you don't feel certain compounds. I don't know. I think it's possible that not everyone is just people are just not as neurotic as I am. Maybe you just don't have time to really, if you're working a job 8 to 5, getting up at 6:30 in the morning, going to bed late, barely getting enough sleep, staying propped up on caffeine. You don't have the time to sit and fucking ruminate over every little detail in your life. And that's all I have to, I've got nothing but time on my hands. So it's very easy for me to sense and detect things that seem to be slightly out of order because I don't have so many variables in my life. I don't have to be wondering, is it a bad day at work? Is it an argument with a coworker? Was my boss being a dick? Was it hotter than hell on the job site? Like, none of these things are factors for me. And so it's a lot easier for me to notice very subtle changes in the various, biochemical functionalities of my body to be able to notice, like, something might be going on here. And right now, the more I talk, the more I think it might be E2. So there you have it. That's where the cycle is today. Obviously, I'm going to continue to tinker and find out what the sweet spot for all these doses is and try to continue to grow my physique. It sounds like I'm going to have to start force feeding again. Really, clearly what it is I'm gonna have to start focusing on carbs. I've been focusing a little bit too heavily on trying to get my protein in, drinking a lot of protein waters, and I think obviously the fact that I'm so lean in a bulk and that my growth is stagnating is a lack of carbohydrate intake, which you would think would be impossible, right? I mean, I'm pounding Dr. Peppers, I've been eating ice cream every single night, gobs of fucking candy, but somewhere, somehow, it's damn sure not fat because I'm eating all these pizzas, so I'm getting a full dose of fat early in the day. It's got to be that I'm incredibly insulin sensitive, and like Kowalski had mentioned to me when I told him that I was having low blood sugar crashes. He said, "Man, the MENT and the 19 Nors are pushing all of that sugar into the muscles in the form of glycogen. So it seems that all of the carbs that I'm eating is getting in here and in here and in here instead of being deposited as body fat in my midsection, which is exactly what I want. But obviously, I'm gonna have to keep increasing the carbs as long as I'm sensitive enough to process them and see if we can't inflate this physique a little bit further. So there you have it. As always, thank you for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.